This episode of NSCTV is brought to you by Leonora SSAA, Bushrangers Brotherhood, Geelong Firearm Courses, Hunters and Shooters Society of Australia, Auto Scratch, Killsite Outdoor Store, Shooters Union of Australia, and the Ballarat Arms and Military Collectors Society. Welcome to another episode of NSCTV, and thank you to our patrons, supporters and our sponsors for making this possible. Today we speak with Ron Sterritt from the Northern Territory, who's had his firearms licence revoked for a second time in circumstances that we know will make you angry. Stay with us because this is an important episode about a regulator that is placing itself above the law in the Northern Territory. I'm here again with Ron Sterritt to talk about what's happened with his licence since we last spoke with him. How you doing, Ron?
I'm great. How are you doing, Neil?
I'm good, thank you. I hope the chili oil's holding up.
Yep, still got plenty in supply. So if you want any, just let me know.
So just for those who are not familiar, Ron's story is that he had his... we went to help a neighbour who had been stabbed. He went to the raid, and we wrote about it at the time because what happened is that the Northern Territory Police decided to take his firearms licence off him because he actually had one of his rifles with him. And as you can see here, we challenged the decision to take his firearm licence off him. And I think there were 5 charges initially. 3 of them were dropped. One of them was beaten. And the 5th one was a weapons charge related to the possession of a bayonet, which the court had actually dealt with at the time. And as we said in this particular article, the court ordered that the bayonet be returned to Ron, and that he basically get his license back. And there was also, I think, a good behaviour bond that was attached to it. So effectively, the court took a view that this really wasn't. I mean, it was an offence, but it wasn't a big deal, especially in the circumstances at the time. Mm-hmm. Now, following that, the Northern Territory Police raided Ron's place, and they actually tried to say that they were going to just give him some paperwork, but in fact, they actually wanted to come in and seize his firearms. And so that led a chain of events which caused a raid, which the police took one of his Nerf guns. In fact, they took more than that, which we'll talk about shortly. And it's other chemicals that actually, as you can see here, turned out to be quite inert. And we'll go on to that again in a minute. But essentially where we're at is the police have now decided that from those raids, after those raids, that they should take his gun license off him. So they've served him a notice of revocation, which is quite sad. So I'm sorry to hear. We're back in this again, Rob?
Yep, all over again. Never ends.
Okay, so let's just go back over what it is the police found. And some of you will already know this, but I'm going to just recap it for those who may not be familiar. So the chemical analysis from effectively the drug part of what happened, basically there is nothing in this list of exhibits that is a prescribed drug. We talked with Ron a little while ago about what some of these things were. We're talking here about aspirin, we're talking about other chemical compounds, and even water.
Yeah,
and cooking oil, and the famous chili oil.
Yeah.
So there really was nothing that the police found. On the firearm side, there were some things that they felt were firearms that they took. And as a result, they did take, as I said, take stuff off him, and I've got the property receipt here. Now, it's going to be a little bit hard to read, so I'll pop it up shortly, but then I'm going to pull it down and talk to it. So in this list here is basically a list of what they call ammunition and guns. So I'll just stop that. But effectively what the list says is that they seized from Ron's place a tin of air pellets, which is kind of weird because, in some states, pellets are not considered ammunition. I think they might be in Northern Territory. They say they seized 1 by 357 SIG round, 2 by 45 cal ACP rounds, and 1 303 round. Now, they're quite specific about that, and they are rounds. Now, you were telling me just before we came on that, in fact, some of these were just shell casings with no projectile in it, probably not a primer or spent primer.
There is a primer in them, but they're fired primers.
They're spent. Okay.
Yeah, spent.
Right. So this doesn't say that these were inert. It says that they're round. So on the face of it, this is pretty serious. You got, this big cowl stuff lying around doing nothing.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Well, so after the first time the police rocked up way back when, we did a whole search of the house to make sure there weren't any loose ammunition or anything like that. Just to be careful. Didn't find any then, and so we just kept it that way. And so there's definitely no live ammunition lying around the house.
Sure.
So these dummy rounds were kept on the top of my safe. Okay. So it's just like, why would I keep them there if I got the ammo tin there? So.
The list didn't go. It goes on to list the Stormtrooper blaster, which has been the subject of other discussions. Then there are 5 entries here which say that they see black imitation or replica firearms, one of which is a style which you got from a local show in 2019.
Yeah, freely available to anyone. Back then, I believe that was freely available up until 2019 when everything was shut down for COVID. And police are swarming the show, naturally.
Yeah.
And so none of them seemed bothered at all. So
so clearly it didn't actually even really look like a style. It was just called a style, or probably the closest thing.
It has the rough outline of style, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. And the others are black. There's a replica rifle. There's a black Tommy gun. There's a black firearm again. Another small black firearm. So they're saying, and they're quite specific here, that these are replicas, which translates into imitations, which has a specific meaning in the Weapons Act in Northern Territory.
Curiously, I'd like to know what they're trying to replicate, because they don't resemble any known firearm at all.
Some of these are Nerf guns?
I believe all of them are Nerf guns. Now, of course, in the description, it doesn't say specifically, and I don't have an inventory list of all my Nerf guns. So,
very comforting that the Northern Territory Police look at a Nerf gun and say that's a replica.
Yeah, some of these are like outrageously nowhere near a firearm. Like some of these look like futuristic space guns. So laughably unrealistic.
So if you walked into a bank, they'd just laugh at you were out of it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
You'd be so embarrassed.
Yeah, like some of them have like the darts for the Nerf guns actually show when you're actually using it. So it's like very obvious.
What happened is this stayed in abeyance now for a few weeks. We were not sure what the police were going to do because they had all this stuff that they had seized, and they came back a few days ago with a notice of revocation of your license.
Yep.
Which concerned us because we thought, well, what have they found in this list? What charges are they going to stack on you now?
Yep.
Okay. And I'm going to show the notice of revocation here, because the reason for the revocation is going to stun people, I think. In fact, it certainly stunned us. So the notice of revocation, which I'll pull up now, a little bit hard to read because it's just the way it's produced, and also there's a lot of text on it. But I'm going to just zero in. I'm going to pull up another part. I'm going to pull up part of this notice of revocation, which is this. The reason why they're revoking his license is because you, Ron, were found guilty of an offence. This was the bayonet matter, which was dealt with earlier in earlier this year in February. It says here, the offence, the being on 11th February 2022, you were found guilty of possess, carry, use, control weapon, blah, 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 placed on a good behaviour bond for a period of 6 months with security $500 and victims levy of $150. That's what the court dealt with, and the matter had been dispensed, but the police have used that as the basis to say, well, your license should be revoked. Now, firstly, how do you feel about that?
Like I have from the very beginning, the issue had been dealt with.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre that, the judges deemed that I should be allowed to have my firearms, but then the police think otherwise.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a conflict there.
Well, they're taking issue here with the fact that the court made a decision.
Yep. And they had a whole month to appeal it if they weren't happy with it. But instead they chose the action they've decided to take.
That's the legal process. It's how it works.
Yes.
If they don't like a decision, if we don't like a decision, we appeal it, and they do exactly the same. And they've got significantly more resources, and they didn't appeal it.
They think it doesn't apply to them.
Just to use that to have another second go at you, to force us back through the legal process.
Yes.
Which we're more than happy to do.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
What's also important about this is that at no stage in this documentation did they say anything about you not being fit and proper to hold license.
Yes.
Nowhere in this did they say that you have breached anything here, that you've breached those conditions.
Yeah. So
you haven't committed any offences. You certainly haven't committed anything that relates to that. So you've got the police here who aren't actually taking issue with you. They're taking issue with Judge Birch, who made the order, and specifically ordered, did you get your license and everything back?
That is the impression I get, yeah.
Yeah. So what we have done is we've re-engaged John Bertoli, who I think the audience is becoming familiar with also. Yes. I don't know if he's yet tried Chili Oil, but I think we could organise that.
Absolutely.
Who's... yes, I think at this stage, all we can really say is that he's going to be going down this path and working to try to clear your name again.
Yes. Yeah. Again.
Well, look, it's very sad it's had to happen, but you know what? It's we've had quite a number of wins lately.
You're doing an excellent job.
We've had a lot of wins, not just lately, but just period. And we've just had 2 wins in New South Wales. We've obviously had a series of wins in WA. We've had wins in South Australia, I think Queensland, possibly Tas. The other thing is we've got some cases coming, more cases that'll be coming to an end in WA. So I think the story will even get better. But fighting this obviously costs money, and I think what we're inviting people to do is, as much as they've supported you previously, this is definitely worth fighting and supporting, because, as we said, you've got the police who are thumbing their nose at the legal system and using their own mechanisms to try to get their way. And we need to stop that. We need to break that cycle. You can support the NSC's legal actions by becoming a donor at nationalshooting.org.au.
Yeah, it's also important to support the right to self-defense and to be able to defend others, your neighbours. Which they're attacking. It seems to be in the NT police, the attitude is it's better that you die waiting for them than save yourself, which is unfortunate.
That's where this started, regardless of which side of the fence you are on in terms of the self-defense argument. The situation that started this was, as we know, it was saving someone's life, and which happened. Talking about how long did it take on the night the police actually roll up?
It's not 100% certain because, I was a bit focused on other priorities at the time. But according to their paperwork, it took around 35 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
For a 000 call. So in a town as small as Alice Springs, that's not great.
So look, if shooters out there could help out and support the donation drive that we're now started to help run through this, and that would be greatly appreciated, because, as I said, I think there's a very important message that's got to come out of the end of this process, and we just don't want to leave the stone unturned. Ron, thanks very much again for your time, and
thank you. And as usual, big thank you to you and the NSC and all those that make it happen. So thank you very much.
No worries.
You guys all have a good day.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it. Well, I hope you like this episode of NSCTV, and don't forget to share it with your friends. And also, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel now. So see you later.